miles. Maybe you could talk about range on backhaul.
That comes down to what speed you're looking to get. You can definitely get 8 miles with NanoBridge, but your speeds are going to start falling off because your signal is going to be lower than you would want it to, and your fade margin isn't going to be there. So if you have some inclement weather, snow, ice buildup, or something like that, you can technically lose a link. So that just comes down to the throughput that's needed for that type of
we have people using them at those distances, and there like I mentioned, there is that 25 dBi model that's coming out. I would say for those kind of ranges, yeah, you're probably looking at the 25, or probably even preferred would be that PowerBridge, or probably PowerBridge. On any point-to-point deployment like that, you want to keep your beam width as narrow as possible, especially 6 to 8 miles.
In a related question, someone says PowerBridge versus NanoBridge, both being at 25 dBi, when would you use one over the other?
In my experience with both devices, I would use PowerBridge over NanoBridge every time, just because the performance that you get out of the PowerBridge, the antenna isolation between the two polarities is much better on the PowerBridge. You have more memory in the PowerBridge. You got more transmit power in the PowerBridge. So all of these factors are going to build up to a more reliable link because you're going to have better fade margin. You're going to get better speeds even at the same distances, and you'll have a little bit tighter of a beam that helps fight the interference even better.
A related question to the equipment itself, does the PowerBridge come with the mounting brackets that are necessary?
Yes, it does.
And will we see Arrow's firmware released for the Airwire?
It has Arrow firmware on it. It's a specialized firmware that takes care of the auto sync. So when you plug them in, they talk to each other. There is a sync button on every Airwire, and you can hold that down while you're powering on the device, and you'll actually be able to get into the Arrow software to either perform a software update, change to regular Arrow software if you really needed to, and that type of stuff.
Next question is, where can a detailed analysis for interpretation of logs be obtained?
In terms of the system log?
I'm guessing that's what they asked.
If they're talking about the system log, it's standard Linux stuff. They can go to like madwifi.org or openwrt.org and read about logs there, and it's the exact same thing.
Okay, next question. Can you talk something about using VLANs, and how does this impact the air control application?
VLANs can impact the air control in terms of if that VLAN's on a completely different subnet, because the air control software will only talk to devices on the exact same subnet that it's on at the current time. We're working on an implementation to get around that, but for right now it has to be on the same subnet. So.
Next question is, will Ubiquiti be making a 900 megahertz sector, and if so, what will be the dimensions and dBi?
Ben?
Yeah, we will. We will be making a sector. I'll have to get back on the dimensions. It's a 900 megahertz sector, so it's big. It's probably you're looking at around 12 to 13 dBi as far as the gain goes, 120 degree, dual polarity. But as far as the size go, yeah, you're probably looking at around 5 feet tall by probably a good 8 inches wide. It's a big antenna.
A couple of people asked whether or not there will be a radome available for the NanoBridge.
There's no plans to do one right now. We've talked a little bit about it. User feedback on that is appreciated. If there's demand for that, when that product was originally developed, we saw it as kind of a short-range bridge and also a client, not necessarily really short range, but not necessarily putting them up on a tower or anything like that. So feedback on that would be appreciated. Right now, there are not plans to do a radome for that.
When can we see or expect to see a 3.65 gigahertz sector or a 3.65 nanostation M3?
We'll be announcing those within the next probably 3 to 4 weeks. It'll probably be another 3 or 4 weeks beyond that when a client device and client device ships. The sector will be available before that.
One gentleman here mentions that he works in conditions in Montana that are very extreme, as low as from 4 degrees centigrade even down to 37 degrees centigrade in the winter. He's wondering about using Pico stations outside and other equipment. Can you talk a little bit about the versatility and weather of some of your equipment?
In terms of running Pico stations in minus 37 Celsius weather, it's probably not a good idea. We have other devices that are better for that type of environment. Pico stations go down to about negative 20 Celsius. They will work beyond that. But in terms of extreme environments, all of our products are designed to be operated in extreme environments within their temperature constraints. We have guys in northern Canada using tons of our gear, and that's some pretty serious weather up there, and they're not having really any issues if they're installed properly. It all comes down to basic installation and working within the given limits of the device. But all the cases, the connectors, and everything like that is meant for outdoor use in those extreme environments.
So it's a pretty versatile unit in terms of temperature on the high side and the low side. Is that true?
Yeah, the high side you go up to about plus 70 Celsius with the Pico stations, and we actually have a guy with a deployment I think of 135. It's somewhere around there. Pico Station 2s and Pico Station 2 HPs in Iraq, and
wow.
they're dealing with some serious heat in the desert. So.
And what about water protection? Same idea?
They're all IP65 rated, so they're not waterproof. They're water resistant. As long as they're installed, in an upright position, there's not going to get any water inside of them. Assuming you take care of the antenna connector with some self-amalgamating tape.
Next question deals with the spectrum analyzer, and I've gotten a number of comments about how wonderful the spectrum analyzer is, and everybody likes it. They would like to know whether or not the spectrum analyzer is also available in 5 gigahertz.
So I didn't get a chance to talk about that. The spectrum analyzer in the M-series device, it follows the M-series device. So if you have like a M5, it'll only show you 5 gigahertz spectrum. If you have an M365, it'll only show you 365 spectrum. If you have an M2, it shows 2 gigahertz spectrum, and same with the 900, it'll show the 900 megahertz spectrum.
Now, I'm going to keep on asking the questions that are here, but a number of people have asked whether they can get a copy of the slides and whether the presentation will be available. One wonderful thing about this type of webinar is that we do record them, and if you watch streakwave.com or streakwave, YouTube, we will have it up and available for review or for other people who haven't had a chance to see it.